Hello, Peng friends. It is your friendly neighborhood gizmo penguin once again in our creepy little setup. It's actually beautiful. This old Japanese building is very beautiful, but background is a little bit creepy. I'm sure the sound is also once again not good. Please forgive me for that. I'm trying to hold the mic closer to me in the hopes that that will be a bit smoother. But as you know, you might hear him in the background. Boysik! Boys. He's meowing sadly in there. He feels lonely. I'm actually only recording this video because I had other work obligations that fell through. My fault, actually. It was scheduled for a different day, and I thought it was for today. Thank you, ADHD. So I was just like, well, since everything's set up, I might as well record some videos. There are a few I wanted to react to. I hope Kitty's okay. Boss. It's so difficult to pick him up, though. He's a 20-year-old kitty now. Picking him up is tricky, because you remember when he was staying with me at my place, we used to pick him up all the time. He was only 15 then. I say only 15, he was still quite old, but we used to dance together. By the way, guys, as per last time, if a hand appears on the screen behind me, please do let me know. I saw a video from Oriental Pearl called Why Are Foreigners Leaving Japan? It is from 2 weeks ago as of this recording. It'll be probably almost a month ago by the time I get this video up. But I thought that looked quite interesting, and I thought we could potentially watch it and react to it. I'm very curious why people decide to leave Japan. I know everyone has their own reasons, but there are definitely things going on in the country right now and around the world that might encourage people to leave. Guys, as always, if at any point you are enjoying, if you like this kind of content, you know what to do. Make sure you ping friends, slap that like button, comment below to let me know if you'd like more things like this, what your perspectives on these topics are, all that good stuff. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so. Also a huge help for the channel. But okay, why don't we get into this?
Why do you want to leave Japan?
With the recent anti-foreigner sentiment, if a place doesn't want me, I'm not going to stay, even though I want to stay.
Some of the cafes or like restaurants in Japan, they don't accept any Koreans.
Not just like no foreigners, but no Koreans specifically. Some cafes did that.
Yes. It was kind of shocking.
今年开始
Okay, not to, to interrupt even before the video has started. So I keep kicking my camera as well. But that's rough for a cafe to be just no Koreans. I have seen cafes that are no foreigners or restaurants that are no foreigners. In some cases, it's very local areas. In other cases, it might be metropolis like Tokyo, right, or Osaka, but the people in charge don't speak English or other foreign languages, so they're concerned that they won't be able to serve you. It's not always necessarily a case of we don't like foreign people. Sometimes it's just a case of fear that, well, I guess you could say it's a type of xenophobia, but I don't think in all cases it's malicious. In the case of the Korean one, that's rough because, yeah, that's definitely targeted. Here's the thing though too, guys. I don't want to speak too much on that because I am not Korean, Chinese, or Japanese. And I think that is between those groups of people to discuss. Most people are not deeply anti-Chinese, anti-Korean, or anti-Japanese. I would say most people are not. But yeah, there are definitely people who have those sentiments, usually because of family histories, dark family histories going back to the war, and of course before, but definitely World War II. I do know some people who really don't like, Japanese people who really don't like those two groups. Anti-Chinese and anti-Korean sentiment has definitely been on the rise. Obviously, anti-foreigner sentiment has been on the rise in general, but those two groups especially, I think, are definitely getting hit hardest, I would say. It's not completely without reason. So, for example, there are groups coming from these countries that hate Japan and are misbehaving. You know, same thing though. There are people from Japan who go to these countries and also misbehave, and these people unfortunately are very childish, and are holding a grudge, and you know they want to express their anti whichever country it is sentiment by doing something harmful there. So it's a shame because, you know, innocent people who are just trying to enjoy a good life in a great country are, yeah, getting tarred with the same brush, I guess we can say. Yeah, it's all quite sad, but I feel bad for that girl because I can imagine if you are the specific nationality or, yeah, nationality that is, they're saying you're not allowed in the country that you've decided to make your home. Yeah, that must be rough. But why would you want to go there anyway, you know? If people are saying such a thing there, you wouldn't want to go to such a place. At least you know where where their feelings about your people lie. You know what I mean? All right, I'm blabbering too much. I'm so sorry. Let me let's continue.
那个费用就是更新的费用有提高了，然后标准也变严格，需要的时间也会比较长。
I mean, life is robotic here. Like the economy is really slow. The population is decreasing.
It's just not how it was 25 years ago.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, when the economy is not moving, like
There's not much room to grow here. Being like doing English teaching, it felt strange. Like, why am I in Japan? My job doesn't allow me to speak Japanese.
Here, I know some Japanese friends of mine that would work also 10 hours or more.
There are more foreigners coming to live in Japan than ever before. But at a time when so many people are rushing to get in and live in this country, why are some foreigners on their way out?
Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Sayong Song. I'm from Korea, Seoul, and I go to Waseda University
Waseda
right
is a
now.
good school.
I'm in my third year,
Oh,
and I
Waseda, no.
study economics.
How long have you been in Japan?
It's been 2 years, and I'm planning to graduate in here.
my name's Eric. I'm from California, and I've been in Japan, let's say 25 years,
Wow,
give or
wow.
take. I came here as a juggling entertainer and traveled around with my act, and then wound up meeting a Japanese lady and got married, started a
He seems
family,
sweet.
and that's all she wrote.
Can you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Flora, 26 years old, coming from Rome, and I study
looks very
at
Italian.
KU University. I've been studying Japanese for 6 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
long
it was a
have you been
great
in Japan?
university. Wow.
Around 9 months, I would say.
Hey, my name is Shaq. I'm from the UK originally. I've been here for around 3 years now. And I've been teaching English and doing modeling part-time. So, hey guys.
That's how it goes.
你可以自我介绍一下吗？
我叫 Christine，然后我是从台湾来的，在日本读大学。
然后好像你来日本之前在欧洲留过学，对吧？
对，我
在哪里？
之前在 Hungary。
哇 Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Red Dog. I've been living
That's
off
epic.
and on in Japan for about 3 years. I'm a teacher by trade, and I'm originally from Canada.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'6"
Wow.
Why do you want to leave Japan?
The welcoming feeling that Japan had, like even just a few years ago, is very much depleting, or it's almost gone. I feel that Japanese people are starting to look at foreigners as more of a nuisance rather than people that are here to contribute to Japanese, society and culture, and here to respect it. And I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but rather than looking at the internal problems of what's going on in their society, they're choosing to blame external problems. It's like they will tell people, we don't want foreigners that are just going to drain our system. When the foreigners that are here in Japan, I think it's like 3%. And out of those 3% of foreigners that are here in Japan, most of them work and contribute into the tax system. There's very few illegals here compared to like any other country in the world. So, with them taking on that mindset, it really turns me off of feeling welcomed here.
I mean, he has some good points, but I think he's also making some generalizations that, it'd be great to actually see the data on rather than just take his word for it. I mean, we all do it. We're human. We all do it. But on the one hand, I understand what he means. I would argue that people like him, very big foreign men, especially when you're that big, right? 6'6". You don't see a lot of Japanese people that height. You're going to stand out a lot more. And unfortunately, I'm so sorry to my foreign dudes out there, if you're tall or bigger and coming to Japan. I could imagine that you might start to get some negative perspectives from Japanese people. They might think that you're a tourist. They might feel intimidation by you. I kind of don't want to say too much on behalf of Japanese people there, because that would just be an assumption on my part. But yeah, after the many, many years that I've lived here, and indeed the growing anti-foreigner sentiment, I could imagine that if you're very clearly a foreigner and you're much bigger than Japanese people, yeah, there might be a feeling of intimidation and people might be less welcoming to you or hospitable to you. I think sometimes, we give off an energy and as well, resting bitch face and all that. We give off a vibe as well that we don't realize that we're giving off. And that can also put people off, especially if things are already tense in a society. I'm not blaming people for that, as I wouldn't want to be blamed for my resting bitch face, but it can happen. But he's saying that Japanese people are only blaming external problems, like the foreigner situation, which is definitely not true. I wonder how many Japanese people he's spoken to. Like when I talk to my neighbors or my friends, we're always talking about all kinds of different things, obviously, as one does. But one of the things we talk about often is Japan's economical situation, right? Sometimes we don't talk about foreign people at all. Sometimes we're just talking about the things that are going well in Japan or not going well. So Japanese people are aware of the issues, the internal issues as well. Of course they want that changed. But naturally, it's already a strained society right now. I think I just met with my best friend, best Japanese friend of many, many years now. Really good guy. I'd love to introduce you guys sometime, by the way. And I think he said it's about 90% of Japanese people in poverty right now. I grew up in poverty. I know how hard it is. Everything is doubly difficult because you have all these additional things that you're concerned about. Am I going to be homeless? Do I have enough food to eat? My family, we didn't always have heating at home. We often didn't have heating. Sometimes there wasn't enough food on the table. Sometimes we didn't even have running water or electricity. So, when you're at that point of poverty, you just need as much as possible to be running smoothly, because there are all these other things that you're already concerned about. To have that many Japanese people and families, especially with young children, this is probably one of the big reasons why Japanese people are not having as many children. There are obviously other reasons too, but I would argue this is one of the big reasons. My point is that they are aware of both internal and external issues, but when you're going through a situation like Japan is right now, where the economy is so bad, just getting by day to day is so difficult. People who've never experienced poverty before are sinking into the poverty line. Those who are already poor sinking, even lower. They need something to be guaranteed and not be, they need some burden lessened. Does that make sense? So the foreigner issue is one that, of course, they're going to be like, well, this is one that is needless. The people coming here committing crimes, creating problems for our society, it's a needless problem. I think it makes sense that, they're going to focus on an issue that feels like it shouldn't be happening at all, and it can be taken care of relatively easily. At the same time, I understand what he's saying. It can feel like foreigners are being unfairly targeted, all foreigners, even those paying into the system. But I think it's also worth considering where Japanese people are coming from. I just think everyone's so upset and distressed right now that we're all kind of at each other's throats. But I just want to say, before I was supposed to begin my work today, and yesterday too, when I met up with my best Japanese friend, just going about the day at the restaurant we ate at, wandering around in one of his favorite locations looking for stray cats. He's a big cat fan, like I am. And even today when I was running errands, every single person I met was so kind. All Japanese people. And one of the supermarkets, a sweet oba-chan, and we're just talking, and we're talking about silly stuff, but we were laughing. I had to deliver some mail, send off some presents. The post office workers were so sweet. We were talking for a while. Maybe when I met up with my friend yesterday, we met some people while we were wandering around. They were walking their dogs, and we were playing with the dogs. I mean, there was no feeling whatsoever of foreigners are the problem. This foreigner here is the problem. I felt almost like I did when I first came to Japan, to be honest with you. Because there is such a kindness to Japanese people. Obviously, there are bad Japanese people. But Japanese people in general, they're just trying to mind their own business. They want a peaceful society. They want harmony in their society. I can understand what he's saying, like it feels like that feeling of when he first came to Japan is gone. But I wonder if this gentleman is just experiencing like the popped bubble. When you first come here, you kind of look at everything through rose-colored glasses. everything seems maybe better than it is in many cases. When we're so excited about something, it's new, it's refreshing, it's exciting, we can kind of, in our own minds, over-exaggerate how good it is. And then it really hits you. The reality hits you. You're suddenly not living in that kind of pink cloud of, I don't want to say delusion, but it is a kind of delusion. I went through it too. I think most people who come to live here go through it, especially when you first encounter difficult experiences in Japan, like really difficult ones, like any kind of discrimination, of course. You know, I haven't talked before about so much about like being homeless in Japan. But that is one of the really, really big things that changed the course of my life here. Let's put it like that. And I am so glad I'm still here. Very, very glad. However, it may change because, as the other girl said, the visa requirements are much stricter now. But I just wanted to say that, well, I understand where he's coming from and I understand the stress. I'm sure his experience with Japanese people is going to be different from mine. No matter who you are, no matter what you look like, please try to use Japanese, even if it's not great. And you can be humble about it too. Like you can say to Japanese people, I'm going to say, 日本語が下手です. Like you can say something simple like that. My Japanese is not good. 上手に話せない. You can say it doesn't have to be perfect Japanese. You can say stuff like that, like apologize and say stuff like that. And I promise you, Japanese people, most Japanese people are going to appreciate that and know that you're trying. I don't know how people go into Japanese shops or if they're tourists, okay, it makes a little bit of sense. But people who can't come here to live, even if you're not good, I don't know how you would go out and only use English or try to use English with people. It feels so uncomfortable to me.
Why are you leaving Japan?
As an English teacher, there wasn't much room to grow and do other things. Again, which is not a bad thing. Some people are fine with being in Japan, being an English teacher for 15 years. But for me, I don't see myself doing that job for like 10 years, 15 years, honestly.
That's fair.
A better job, a higher paying job.
Being flexible and being able to explore the country a bit more. Honestly, I've only been to Tokyo and Osaka in the 3 years that I've been here, which is really bad.
Poor dude.
Do you know what as well though? One thing that has been a struggle for me being out here. I'm type 1 diabetic. So in the UK, like medication is like free. Here is not. Like being American, you're probably used to like paying for medication. I'm not. I remember there was 1 month here that I had no money, and I'd run out of medication, and it was something that I don't ever want to go through again.
Yeah, that's scary.
I think the longest I've been in the hospital was like 3 days. And that cost me like 90,000 yen, which is like, it's around like $800, $700. And
not compared to America.
Yeah, it's something that I worry about.
Why are you leaving Japan? Why don't you want to stay?
I'm leaving Japan because I came here only to learn, in a sense, Japanese. I've been studying it for like 6 years, as I said previously, and I really wanted to enhance my ability in Japanese. So I think that my time here not only has come to an end, in a sense that I feel ready to move on and to come back to Italy.
When you graduate from university, why didn't you consider getting a job here in Japan instead?
Actually, coming here, I had the chance to meet with representatives from Japanese company. But still, I think that not only I don't feel really appealed by, for example, the working culture, in a sense that in Italy we get to work, for example, for 6-7 hours. Here, I know some Japanese friends of mine that would work also 10 hours or more.
Let me pause it for a second. I saw even Pearl going, no, she knows too. There was just a case of quite a young Japanese girl. It's really freaking sad, actually. Ended up basically dying from overwork. And her family has even been trying to campaign for change in the working conditions for Japanese people, especially young Japanese people. Obviously, they're devastated about her losses. It is crazy how hard Japanese people are working. And because of the poor economy right now, even elderly Japanese people are working overtime. At that age, after a lifetime of work, contributing to the system, bringing children into the world, grandchildren, you should be able to relax. You should have a pension that you can rely on and relax. And that's not true for A lot of Japanese people. It's just not reliable right now. So they're all working. The best friend that I met yesterday, he is working multiple jobs. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. He gets like, what, 3 hours of sleep? And then it's back to work. The friend that Elvin introduced me to, the lovely guy, you might have seen him in our last vlog over on Penguin Sisters. The work he was doing, he was working on holidays, weekdays, of course, and weekends. No respite whatsoever. Sometimes he couldn't even get a train home. He would have to sleep in a karaoke booth. I would say standard hours. But I'm already exhausted by those. Can you imagine getting 2 or 3 hours of sleep, no holidays, everyday overtime? It is rough. It is rough. A lot of companies expect it. Alvin and I talked about it in one of the Penguin Sisters videos, so I won't go into it more right now. Zangyo. Overtime, right? But unpaid overtime, even worse. But yeah, I can understand why this girl, her name was Flora, right? I can understand why she wouldn't want to enter a company where that's the expectation. Let's just say that.
You've lived in Japan for all these years. You've raised a family. Your 2 kids are half Japanese. Like, you have real roots here. Why would you consider leaving after so long?
Well, hello, 25 years is a long time. That's almost half of my life. Well, not quite half. I'm actually 60. I'm a Kanreiki right now.
5 more years, he'll
which
be
is
here
a
half of his
60-year-old
life.
Kanreiki.
3 more years, I'll have
That's
been
the
here half of mine.
celebration. I don't know. I was just thinking about retiring and moving someplace else because
looks
I've
like
just
your
been here
spouse
so
then.
long. At that time, that was what, 4 or 5 months ago when you reached out to me. Yeah, life is robotic here. Like the economy is really slow. The population is decreasing.
That's sad.
Well, how does it compare to when you first got here? Was Japan a lot different 25 years ago?
I would say yes, it was.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah.
bubble era, the bubble jidai, as they say in Japanese, and like money was just
Yeah,
flying around
yeah.
everywhere. It was like, it was good money back in the day, and that doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore.
Buying food, buying groceries, things like that. Yeah, the salaries have been stagnant for 30 years. So
It's
you
rough.
probably haven't
It's
gotten
rough.
a raise in a while.
That's a good case in point.
Why do you want to leave Japan after you graduate?
Since I don't speak like native level of Japanese, it's kind of hard for me to get a job
Ah.
here. Like especially when I do shukatsu, I need to do like all like mansete in all Japanese, but it's
yeah.
kind of hard because I don't speak like keiko and
Yeah.
sonkeigo. And actually, when I first entered Waseda, I thought I would be so fluent by now because it's
Yeah.
been 2 years. But to be honest, I don't get to use Japanese
Ah.
at all, like daily lives because I take the classes in English.
She doesn't get to use Japanese in daily life? That's a bit strange. I don't understand why she would. I understand the schooling. Even the Japanese school that I went to was also, of course, in English. They had the department that I was a part of in that school was English. So yeah, all the classes were, except for Japanese class, of course, were in English. But daily life? What are you using in daily life? I do agree with her that sometimes you feel a bit confused when you've been studying at least a couple of years. You feel confused that if you can't speak well. Let me take a moment to explain, because people have asked about my Japanese language ability, especially having been here 16 years. So I'm not fluent. I'm not going to pretend that I'm fluent. And I don't think I ever have tried to pretend that I am. I would guess my speaking ability is upper intermediate, early advanced. There are reasons for this. So for example, I did study up until, I think it was the highest advanced level of Japanese in university. And I always did well. I always got A's. That my teachers always liked me. I especially loved writing in Japanese because I'm a writer. So it was always really fun. But I remember even in that advanced level class, I noticed classmates who spoke fluently. Like when they would speak in the class, they didn't have to take a moment. They just could speak. And being in the same level, despite understanding them and the teacher and, the assignments and doing well, I always felt like, why do I struggle to speak? It's not that I can't speak, because obviously, as I said, I mean, even today, everyone I was talking with was in Japanese, and it was all Japanese people. And yes, like I recognize when I make mistakes. I know when I'm making a mistake, because I do understand the language well enough to know when it's a mistake. But for some reason, I'm just not that smart, apparently. because it's not for lack of trying. Even when I graduated university later on in my 20s, I was taking Japanese classes with Japanese friends, like, for example, Sensei, who I'd love to introduce you guys to, one of my good friends here. It just doesn't stick. And it could be that I've never been good at speaking. You guys might be like, oh, but you're doing these reaction videos. If you're not good at speaking, why are you doing reaction videos? I love reaction videos. I love watching other people's reaction videos. And so I'm just doing this for fun. If I'm actually speaking intelligently and coherently, I'm very glad about that. But usually if I'm expected to speak without some kind of prompt or script, I have to really warm up beforehand. I did not warm up today. So again, I'm sorry if it's bad. But it's the same for me with English speaking. I'm just not good at speaking. And it's always been this way. I think it might be the autism side. Maybe it's the ADHD. I don't know. But I think it's to do with autism. And then because I'm concerned that I'm making people wait for me to form my thoughts, I take way too long. I take way too long to actually speak. So for that reason, I'll force myself to just speak. And that's why there are mistakes. And I'll hear those mistakes. I'm trying not to beat myself up too much about it, because I've always felt really sad to have been in Japan for this long and to not be fluent. I guess it's just that some people are. Okay, I don't want to speak for other people. I'll say it for myself. Some of us are just stupid. And it's not for lack of trying. You know, we are trying. We are using it in our daily lives every single day. For some reason, we just can't. We're just too slow. By the way, I will say this, though. My Japanese and my English were both far better before I got COVID in February 2020. I was sick for months and I didn't physically or mentally fully recover. I wouldn't even say even now it's not the same as it was before COVID. I lost so much of my language ability. Again, not just my Japanese, my English as well. And my memory has never been the same since then. So it's even harder to retain new information. Stupid freaking COVID. It is really sad. It's actually quite embarrassing to lose bits of your own native language, especially as a writer. It can be really demoralizing. It reminds me of that movie Ian McKellen played older Sherlock Holmes, and his memory is getting very poor. Oh, like I feel that now. I can feel the pain of that.
My ultimate goal is to live in the States.
Wow.
Cause like I really love the people like and the vibes from like in the States, but I actually wanna like live in a country or a place where I could speak English. So cause I want to improve my English level.
你想不想在日本工作呢？
可能一半一半，就是留或者是离开的一半一半。就是我们觉得日本人就是会为公司就是奉献自己的一生，或是自己的身体健康这样子的感觉。
对外国人来说，在日本生活有什么优点，还有什么缺点呢？
因为日本可能相对比较封闭，然后他们有一些比较严谨的文化，但是如果你是外国人的话，他们可能会稍微包容你一下，对。然后，但是缺点就是你有可能会觉得我没有办法融入这里。
Yeah, I think I understand what she's trying to say there. You guys might feel that no matter how you try to assimilate, you'll never be accepted as a Japanese person. And of course, you're not Japanese. So, like, if you think about all the people at the turn of the century who went to America, right? Went to the United States. Sure, they brought part of their heritage with them. But ultimately, they could assimilate into American society. They could assimilate their culture into American society. And, you know, they could feel like they belong. I'm sure it wasn't easy for them. Maybe as Americans who are, the grandchildren or great-grandchildren of immigrants. In my case, I am the grandchild and great-grandchild of immigrants. My father's parents were from Italy. So, I don't know anything except life in the United States. Aside from life in Japan, I don't know anything other than life in the United States. But I'm sure for them coming over, it wasn't easy to do. However, you could ultimately feel that you had assimilated into the society. Does that make sense? Whereas I think for people who look even a little bit foreign, so for example, that gentleman we saw before, the one I said looked like James Bond, he has children here. They're obviously half Japanese. If they appear half Japanese, they're quite possibly going to be viewed as foreigners. Not in all cases. It's definitely getting better. Hafu used to be quite an insulting term, but don't hold me to that. Check with actual people who are half Japanese and see if they're okay with the use of that term, because it used to be considered quite insulting. They might not be treated as native Japanese people, or especially if like your parents are foreigners and like you were born in Japan, so obviously you look fully foreigner. Yeah. It might feel like this is your culture, you were born here, this is your home, but yeah, it might feel like you're not fully accepted. So especially if you are a foreigner coming here, yeah, it could be tough. The culture is very, very different from, of course, Western cultures. So yeah, I can understand her point about that. But if you have good Japanese friends, it can still feel quite homey. And you feel a lot of gratitude for them.
When you first came to Japan, did you expect to stay here forever?
My entire goal of coming to Japan was I wanted to make myself a life here. You know, like the countryside is beautiful. The cities are fun. The people are pretty cool. Like I was looking at purchasing my own place here, opening up a business. Yeah.
How has the changing political situation in Japan affected you?
So the landscape with the recent changes, and this just happened this year. So I had left Japan for my work for 2 years, and I went to Vietnam with the intention of moving back. And my goal was to establish my own education business here. But with the recent anti-foreigner sentiment, they increased the price of getting a business manager visa for entrepreneurs like myself who want to grow a business in Japan. Basically made it unaffordable. It went from 5 million yen to 35 million yen. And they made it so, or they're going to make it so that if you want to purchase property here, you have to be a resident. So not just a visa holder, but you have to have residency.
He's absolutely right. They did this for a reason. There were absolutely people abusing the system. They were using it to kind of import more like their family members or more people from their countries. You can check the different cases of this. There are definitely people abusing the entrepreneur system, creating your own business. So unfortunately, because of those selfish people, yeah, if you do want to start a business in Japan now, it's going to be much more expensive and more difficult. It's really sad because obviously I think he was well-intentioned. He wanted to start his own educational program. I'm sure it would have been lovely, but yeah. Bad actors ruin it for everyone. That's the way of life, right? That's the way of the world. It's like, even if you punish the people that get found out for misusing those visas, there's still going to be more who are going to do it. So it's going to be an endless cycle. So you have to kind of set the bar a little bit higher. You could argue that they set the bar too high, but it's sad. It's kind of the sad reality of things. And as for buying land, I think you should be a resident. Maybe it's just my feeling personally. But it would be really weird for a tourist to come into Japan and buy land, right? I guess there are other places in the world where it's possible to do. I don't think that's an unreasonable one. I think it makes sense that when he says resident, I'm assuming he means permanent residency or naturalization, which again, I think it just makes sense. Because also if you're here on temporary visas, as I am, by the way, you know, what happens if your visa runs out or you can't renew it? What happens to that land? It's just, it gets so messy. So I can understand why they would want more permanent residents to have access to their land. There have also been people coming to Japan and abusing that as well. But I understand his disappointment, of course. You know, you have a dream about this great place and making a life here. And by the way, when I came here 16 years ago, it did feel like there was way more opportunity. It does feel like it's changed quite a bit, but you know, again, economy's been worsening, so that also makes sense.
And gaining residency in Japan is not an easy thing. It's like a 6-year process.
Yeah.
As a Korean living here in Japan and a foreigner in general, have you ever experienced any like uncomfortable situations?
Like recently, like ever since I came to Japan, I've never like got into any situations where I felt like discriminated. But like a few years ago, even before I was in Japan, I heard from the news that some of the where we had like a complicated like political situation going on at that time. Some of the cafes or like restaurants in Japan they kind of like had the saying where they don't accept any Koreans in the
Really?
Yes.
Not just like no foreigners, but no Koreans specifically. Some cafes did that.
Yes, it was kind of shocking, but I mean, um, actually, like also in Korea, we actually had some of the restaurants like where we don't accept Japanese too.
really?
Say
So
that at the
I mean, it
beginning.
was kind of more of political side, but I mean, these days it got much better.
然后因为现在中日关系有点紧张，来自台湾的人会不会受到影响啊？
我个人来说并没有什么影响，因为我来日本，就是如果是来旅游什么的，也不太需要签证什么
I
的。
didn't realize that. Very
但
cool.
是你在外面讲中文的时候，会不会有点不舒服啊？会觉得别人在听你？
Kito.
可能会有点担心被认为说不是台湾人，然后因为日本人对台湾人，我觉得都很友善。就如果他知道你是台湾人的话，他会对你很好啊，怎么样的。然后如果被误认为是别的国家的人的话，有可能他们会比较警戒。
So do you think that learning Japanese is a useful language for work?
I don't think so. Honestly, I mean, if I could come back, if I could go back in time, maybe I would study Japanese as like I would try to have Japanese skills as a secondary skill, and I would more like focus on something else.
For me, one of the things with like English teaching as well was the fact that they don't allow you to. A lot of jobs don't allow you to speak Japanese.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
So it ended up where I felt like my Japanese was getting worse. Being in that job, you're not gonna be able to engulf yourself in society as well as you probably would want to.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a juxtaposition. My job is stopping me from growing in my Japanese and being in an environment where it's like, okay, now your Japanese is really tested. How good are you?
True.
What
true,
are the
true.
downsides to
By the
living
way,
in
I always
Japan
thought
as a foreigner
Osaka Ben
long
and
term?
Be
Kyoto
sure you have enough money to support
dialect are
yourself.
easier to
Come over
understand.
here with some savings.
Just me, maybe.
Yeah, because you can't live off the dole here. Unemployment's not really a thing. Yeah, I've been at university here 18 years. I have not gotten one raise, not one.
In 18 years.
In 18
He's
years.
right,
But I love
he's
my
right.
job. Like, it was hard for like several years because there was a period where I moved to Hawaii for 5 years and then came back. And I was broke. I had debt. So it took me a long time to crawl out of debt, meaning that, I mean, to live abroad, I would really have to work hard. Now it's cheap here.
Yeah.
So if you're coming from overseas, it's dirt cheap. The dollar, even other currencies go pretty far here, the euro and
Yeah.
whatnot.
But you're on a Japanese salary.
Yeah.
I'm on a Japanese salary, but my YouTube revenue is 3 times what I make in yen. So
Not
we'll just,
bad.
So the Japanese economy declining was a factor in why you were thinking of leaving. It's just not how it was 25 years ago.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, when the economy is not moving, like, I mean, they're not happy. They're not throwing their money around like they used to. It's,
Yeah.
I used to be an
Yeah.
entertainer in Japan and I would get paid in an envelope, and it got up to, 70, 80,000 for one little, one little juggling gig.
I look at it two ways. Do I stay in Japan and make a very low standard of living for myself
Yeah.
internationally with what my job normally pays, right? For the convenience of living in a country that really doesn't want me here anymore,
No, you don't know that.
or
sir.
do I go
don't know
somewhere
that, huh?
else where I'm treated a bit better, the pay is actually competitive, and
shouldn't
the
judge. I don't-
people
I
in
don't
the
know his
country actually
experiences,
want
but-
foreigners there investing in the country to let it grow.
Where would that be? Thailand, Vietnam? Where are you looking into?
So Vietnam definitely they right now are a big hub, growing hub for people for wanting foreign workers there. But there are other countries, Malaysia, Indonesia.
I don't want to see you go, man. My friends are leaving.
Oh.
All right, maybe we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But I appreciate you taking the time to meet.
Okay, that's sweet. That's really sweet. She did. She gave guys. I'll link to her video, by the way, so you can check it out. But yeah, she let them share all of their social media, which is really sweet. That's nice of her. Please of course go visit her channel. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. I think everyone had some decent points though about their personal situations. They know what's going to be best for them. I hope it works out for them. To be honest with you, I was also considering leaving Japan as recently as my upcoming visa renewal. I was thinking, like, do I just not reapply to extend my visa? There were a lot of different reasons for it. They mentioned the salary issue. Even though I love the work that I do here, it's true, it's not enough. The last few months of last year, as I think I've said too many times, I'm sorry guys, I was in and out of hospitals every single week. And by the end of the year, I mean, I had nothing left financially. It was difficult. Like in terms of the financial situation, rising costs for everything, but salaries staying stagnant, it is, it's kind of a scary situation. Like, you can't really rely on it. You can't even get savings going. And yeah, absolutely, if you've been the recipient of any kind of discrimination as a result of the anti-foreigner sentiment that's been growing here, yeah, of course, you're going to feel unwelcome and maybe want to go back to your country. For me, I've lived here for so long, and as I said, in 3 years, I will have been here half of my life, which is insane to me, because again, I came here when I was a teenager. Both my native Rhode Island in America and Japan are homes to me. So, leaving one or the other, I always feel like, where would I go? Because these are my two homes. I don't know, another part of me in recent weeks has just felt that pull again. That's the thing about Japan. It pulls you in. It can be very hard to leave. The longer you stay here, the harder it gets. I suppose naturally, because there's so much you have to organize if you've spent any amount of time here, sending stuff back home, saying goodbye to friends, work, all that stuff. But just in general, you get so used to the lifestyle and comfortable with it, and you put yourself in wherever you would go back to. And you imagine, how will I be feeling about Japan? You know you're going to miss it. You know the reverse culture shock is going to be really, really rough. Plus, I love making vlogs for you guys since I started doing it with Penguin Sisters channel. And I'm starting to do my own solo ones. I really do enjoy it, showing you guys life here. I love my Japanese friends so much. They're basically my family. Some of us, we've been through so much together. And it's just a lot to think about when it comes to, like, do I want to stay or do I want to leave? So guys, I hope I can stay. But yeah, you guys, they talked about all the negative sides of living in Japan. Not all. They talked about many negative sides of living in Japan, which of course is, I'm not saying they're negative people, not like me. My Japanese friend yesterday was just saying, oh, you have such a bright light and that's why good things are coming to you. And I was like, what about all my negative kangaekata? No, I'm not that negative. I try to be realistic, which is probably what negative people say, to not sound negative. No, but really, I try to be realistic about things. And I do keep a firm hope inside that I think is a bit like that light that he was talking about. My point being, as I digress again, they were asked why they're leaving. So of course they're going to talk about the negative points. Keep them in mind. Listen to them, because what they've said might resonate with you. So like if you're thinking of coming to Japan, but the issues they've mentioned are things that you don't want to have to deal with, that might make you change your plans. Maybe you do end up going to Vietnam or Thailand or Malaysia or Taiwan instead. I firmly feel that Japanese people are really lovely and among the kindest you will meet in the world. Yes, there is a sense of hospitality, which it might feel forced sometimes. You can tell if it's genuine or not. But the genuine kindness I've encountered here is just fantastic. And it's even more wonderful when you consider, like, when people go out of their way to express kindness, and you consider that Japanese people tend to be quite reserved. They're not going to go out of their way to make advances, especially towards people that they don't know, and especially foreigners who might not even speak Japanese. So, when they are doing that, that is a genuine kindness and care. Some people say that Japanese people feel cold. There are cold Japanese people, of course, but it hasn't been my experience, to be honest with you. I wish these guys the best. I wish all of them the best. And I hope they find their path. I hope I find my path too. Hope you guys find your path. I hope the new year's been good to you so far, even though this is probably going up really late. Pink friends, if you enjoyed it all, you know what to do. Make sure you pink friends slap that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. comment below if you agree with them, any concerns you have, if you want me to do more videos like this, if there are any videos you recommend, you can give me the name of the video and the YouTuber. Also, if you have any questions about some of the things they've talked about, some of the things I've talked about, please ask me in the comments as well. I'm really, really happy to answer them. You might get a long answer. Apologies. But that was fun. That was interesting. Okay, Peng friends, I will leave it here. Thank you so much for watching, though. I really hope the New Year's been kind to you so far. Yeah, I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See ya.